I have a good message for us today. At least it's good for me. I like what Brother Buddy said last week. A lot of times I'm ministering to me. So God will give you a message and it's for you. Good morning, everyone. And my message today is always just like Job. I was reading the other day about Job. How did I come to start on Job? And you know what? The more I read about Job, the more I thought about my life. And the lives of my brothers and sisters here at Trinity. And, what the funny part about it is, I thought about Minister Ann. And she was saying how she was, and we think about ourselves in comparison to when we were in the world, but God had a plan for our lives. And we may have started in an upright position even before we knew the Lord. But Job's story relates to us so closely that I don't think we really recognize that we are a lot like Job. I'm only going to read the first chapter, and I'm going to refer back to Job and give you a synopsis more or less of how we compare to his life, how we are so much like Job. In the first chapter of Job, it reads, "There was a man in the land of Uz, or Uz, but it's not Oz, for sure, whose name was Job. And that man was blameless and upright, and one who reverently feared God and abstained from or shunned evil because it was wrong. And there was born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He possessed 7,000 sheep." This guy, you gotta break it down. He had a lot. Okay, so he possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen. We're talking about them big old things that pull wagons. 500 of them bad boys. 500 female donkeys, and a very great body of servants, so that this man was the greatest of all men of the East. His sons used to go up and feast in the house of each on his day, or his birthday, as they would say, and in turn, they invited their sisters to eat and drink with them. And when the days of their feasting were over, Job sent for them to purify and hallow them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed, or disowned God in their hearts." Thus did Job at all times. So he would pray for his children and give burnt offerings for his children, the same way we pray for our kids today, because we don't know what road they're traveling. They don't know if they're going to travel that rocky road or that smooth paved road. Most times, for some reason, they like to travel that rocky road, even though we told them it's going to be rough. But they like traveling that rocky road anyway. But Job would pray for his family anyway, his sisters, his daughters and sons anyway. He would give burnt offerings for them. Now there was a day when the sons of the angels of God came to present themselves before the Lord. So Satan, the adversary and accuser, also came among them. And always remember, Satan is always hanging around. And the Lord said to Satan, "From where did you come?" Then Satan answered the Lord, "From going to and fro on earth, and from walking up and down on it." I gotta laugh because, Satan's he's present, okay? So He let him know, I'm walking around checking things out, checking out these folks that call themselves Christians. Just check and see where they at, where they standing, where are they, where actually going to be. And the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? That there is none like it on earth, a blameless and upright man, and who reverently fears God and abstains from and shuns evil because it is wrong. Then Satan answered the Lord, does Job reverently fear God for nothing? In other words, he's saying, does he fear God for nothing, like doing nothing for him? Yeah. And he's going to give an example and say, well, does he fear for nothing? It's because he has it all. So he went on to say, have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You have conferred prosperity and happiness upon him in the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. So Job, like I said, he had a lot. When I named all those different things he had, Job had plenty. Amen. And his sons and daughters were reaping the benefits of what Job had. But they said, but put forth your hand now and touch all that he had, and he will curse you to your face. Satan knows God. And the Lord said to Satan, the adversary and the accuser, behold, all that he has in your power, all that he has is in your power. Upon and only upon himself, put not forth his hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when Job's sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. So they was on one of their birthdays, like they celebrate their birthdays like we do. Or we have a big deal, like you know, almost like we went over to celebrate Christmas. We all celebrate the baby girl. We have a good time and just eat the spoils of the baby girl. So anyway, they would celebrate that birthday. And then there came a messenger to Job. And his messenger said the oxen were plowing and the donkeys feeding beside them. And the Sabaeans swooped down upon them and took away the animals. Indeed, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone escaped to tell you. Now remember this last part I read to you. I alone escaped to tell you. I'm going to say that a few more times. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of God, lightning, is fallen from heaven and has burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was yet speaking, he was still talking, telling Job what happened. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the Chaldeans divided into 3 bands and made a raid upon the camels and have taken them away. Yes, have slain the servants and with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still yet speaking, there came also another, and said, your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house, celebrating their birthday. And behold, there came a great whirlwind. I would say it may have been a tornado. From the desert, and smote 4 corners of the house. And it fell upon the young people, and they are dead. And I alone escaped to tell you. Then Job arose and rent his robe, and shaved his head, and fell down to the ground, and worshipped. Remember that. All this that happened, everything that happened, everything's been taken. Job fell down and worshipped. And said, naked without possessions I came into this world, from my mother's womb, and naked without possessions shall I depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed and praised and magnified and worshiped be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not. and nor charge God foolishly. Now think about this a minute, people. Everything that transpired with Job, all the things that he had gone through, everything that happened in reference to losing your livestock and everything else, Job worshiped. Now we use this verse, a lot of people say this. They'll say, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. But a lot of times they use it for the wrong thing. They use it as if God took something away from them. No. And he didn't take anything. God didn't take away, because he doesn't take away. God is a multiplier. He gives and he adds. Just like he says he gives life and he gives it what? There you go. Abundantly. Abundantly doesn't mean he's taken away. It's not a negative issue. It's not a subtraction issue. It's a plus issue. Abundant is multiplication. In anybody's form, it's multiplication. After reading this story about Job, I came to the conclusion that we are just like Job to a certain extent. We commit our lives to Christ. We pray and believe that the Lord has put a hedge of protection around us. We all say that because it tells us that in verses 1 of Job, 1 and 10 in Job. So he puts that hedge of protection around us, so we're protected right then and there from our Heavenly Father, through Jesus Christ. Then all of a sudden Satan comes and he tempts us. He tries us. He pushes us. He puts disease on us. He attempts to make us believe that we're going to fail. Right. He keeps us offended about our brothers, about our sisters. Little bitty things. He wants us to be jealous and envious, doubtful of our ability to trust in Christ for our needs to be met. All we have to do when we think about Satan, he's got some names. He's got Lucifer, he's got Satan, he's got the evil one. One of the names that we always kind of classify as devil. When we think about the D in devil, there's a lot of things that correlate to D. We can say things such as deceit. We can say deception. We can say doubt, disbelief, depression, discourse, denial, downtrodden. Of course, we can't leave out death. And there's so many other words that start with D. But that's all in our English language put there to give an understanding of what the lower part of our lives can be. So in essence, like I said, we're like Job. We start off, and if anybody is from a fairly stable family, we all probably came from slightly dysfunctional families, but if your family is stable and you got a mom and a dad and they're doing their best to take care of you, then you would say that basically you're a stable family and you got the things that you need. Even when you didn't have the things that you need, your mom and dad or your mom, if that was all you had, they took care of that situation. They made it to where you, but even through that time, your mom and your dad made it work. And you didn't know that you were poor, or you didn't know actually that you were without. So in that standing, after you came into your realm of living, then you took the next standard up. Okay, so you didn't have the welfare scene or the trying to survive or the commodity cheese and all that. You were making it on your own. So you may not have had 500 camels, oxen, sheep, and everything else, but you were sustaining yourself. So what you do is you go ahead and you make life good for your family. So you're living kind of like Job was living. You're living comfortably. Of course, you're not living in the mansion on the hill yet. You haven't gotten all the reapings of the great things that you anticipate getting, but you're working your way to it. So we trust him and we understand that one thing, if nothing else, that He's the author and the finisher of our faith. We know that for a fact. He is that for sure. But now it's time to lose some wild stock. Time to lose some sheep. Time to lose some oxen. In our state of mind, it would be now it's time to kind of lose a little stock. Or maybe the stock market goes down. Or maybe the NASDAQ is acting crazy. Or the Dow Jones is getting kind of lopsided, not working in your favor. Or in our case, we get behind in a bill, a big bill. Or you get laid off the job. Or you lose your camel. Our camel would be my car or my truck. Or the big pretty black truck I saw in the back there, the Chevrolet, what's that called? Avalanche. You might lose that Avalanche. Or they may come and pick up that Avalanche on my truck and say, if you get the right money at the right time, you can get this truck back. So you lose your camel. Your camel's gone. Or maybe we lose what we really hate to think about. We lose a loved one to an illness. Or an accident on the job, or a car accident, or a situation like that. Or in some cases, a house is blown away by a heavy wind or a tornado and people are caught in that tragic situation and they pass away. We're seeing that all day long. 23 died in a flood in West Virginia and just all kinds of things happen. But in that situation, in that whole situation, Job worshiped. We have to see where are we in that situation. If we lose our camel, if we get behind in the bill, if we find that some of our land was taken, are we going to worship? Are we going to pray? Are we going to believe that we're going to get it back? Are we going to curse God? Are we going to say it's his fault? Or are we going to do like Job? Are we going to worship? Job did what every man, every woman should do. He worshiped the God Almighty, the God that can restore. And when you think it all as bad as it's ever going to get, it gets worse. The one that stands beside you, your closest companion, she tells you, just curse God and die. Just give up. I mean, when it all gets bad, that's bad. When your companion, your helpmeet says, it's over. We done lost all the kids, we lost the livestock, we lost the camels, the oxen are gone. What are we going to do? Just curse, stop that worshiping, just curse God and die. And that's the ultimate letdown. To me, that would be the ultimate letdown. But even through that, what do we do now? Do we stand? Do we stand even when we don't understand? Do we worship? What do we do? And you think at that time you put to a test or this test. Why am I going through this test? What's the deal, Lord? What's happening? I gotta go up here and pay these people for my camel, get my camel back. I ain't got no wheel. I mean, it's rough. You know, I can't walk to work. I'm tired of bumming, getting in the pool car with people that smoke, and I don't smoke, and all type of situations that don't have to be the way they are. But do we give up?
No.
Do we stand even when we don't understand? We do like Job, y'all. We do like Job.
Yeah.
We worship. We get on our knees and understand that God is a God that can restore. Amen. When it's all taken away, we don't say the fact that God giveth and he taketh away. We say that God giveth and he continues to give. He He keeps giving. He's a God that can't stop giving. If he gave his only begotten son, his only begotten, what? He gave his son. I can't do that. You can't do that. If our children get sick, we can't put up with it.
Amen.
So at the same time, when that happens, we have to take a stand. We have no choice but to take a stand. If you're a believer, then you have to believe that I have no other recourse. You shouldn't have any other recourse except to get on your knees and worship like Job worshiped. When you think about what happened to Job, all you have to do is think about Job's plan. Job had a plan when no one else knew he had a plan. Because he did it out of, basically just did it out of habit. Job was a worshiper, okay? So when things happened, Job did the normal thing that he would do under any circumstance. He worshiped the Lord. And in that last verse, it says, in all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. So if he did that, if he went that direction, he didn't say anything, he didn't curse, he didn't have a meltdown, he didn't have all the things that we as people normally have when something goes out of whack. Now I know how we act, because I act like that. If something doesn't go exactly according to plan and I've lost something, I know back in the day when I was coming up, or when I was out there in the world and didn't know the Lord like I know him now, if something got out of, I'll say out of standing, or wasn't just right, I would lose it. I'm a Navy man, so I'd curse like a sailor. I would go crazy. I'd have all kind of problems. But I learned after I turned my life over to Christ that I don't have to do that. Because if I lost it, it was on my own accord when I lost it. It was my fault. 9 times out of 10, we do something and it's not, or it's out of God's will. When we lose it because and that's our own fault. It's something that we did. We serve a God that cannot fail. So if he can't fail, and we're making mistakes daily, or making mistakes sometimes, normally, when you come up short, when you come up without, God didn't come with that. And a lot of times, sometimes, Satan didn't cause that. All right. And I'm not giving Satan no prop. I'm just saying that sometimes his head right here, he tries to figure out what we need to do and when we need to do it, and then a lot of times it's wrong. All right. If we would seek him first, come on now, and his kingdom, and his righteousness, all the things that we need will be added. It'll be added. But we don't do that. We don't seek him first. We seek out avenues that will actually get us in a bigger pickle, or get us in a bigger mess. But Job never did that. Job stayed the course. He got on them knees. I can tell you, Job's knees probably like rubber. Because everything he lost there, all the stuff he lost, and then his wife even told him to curse God and die. Job got on them knees and he said, Lord, he rent his clothes, shaved his head, and he said, Lord, it's on you. It's all on you. All right. If we do that, if we follow the course that Job followed, and I'm going to be honest with you, once we know who we are in Christ Jesus, amen, that's when we follow Christ. Amen. That's when we win. Amen. That's when we succeed. That's when, even though we lose our camel, we're going to get that camel back. That avalanche will be rolling right back up. And guess what? You won't even have to go pick it up. They'll drive it back to you. You won't have to go back there and say, I want my car back. I want my truck. Give me my avalanche back today. You ain't got to go back and go get it. They're going to drive it up to your driveway and have somebody to take them back so they can leave your car right there. All right. Park for you. It's yours, and you can get it back. So at the same time, everything that Job did was in right standing with God. So what does God do? Satan couldn't do nothing to him. And you know, like I said before, when Job went through his process, Satan had an opportunity to say, well, you took all that from him, Lord, but you ain't hurt his body. Let me tamper with his body a little bit. And you know how we are when we get pain. Man, you know us, we don't like no pain. Doctor, to me, the dentist, his D stands for devil almost, but I hate to go to the dentist. I hate to go to the dentist. I hate them. But at the same time, we don't like pain. I hate pain. But he said, let me tamper with Job's body a little bit. We tampered with Job's body. I mean, Job had sores. He was scraping. I can't even imagine. He was scraping sores and stuff off his feet. He had it bad. He had it really bad. But he still worshiped